welcome to your first assignment in Adobe Illustrator. All right, please start by opening the program, Adobe Illustrator. You're going to see this, after it's loaded, you're going to see this initial screen here that shows some of your recent stuff. Off to the side, we want to click New File. Your new document window will open up. You don't have to change much over here. I just want to make sure that this is in inches. And we're just going to do a perfect square artboard. So let's just do 4 inches by 4 inches is fine. And then you can leave everything else the way it is for this first assignment, and we'll just press create. Here you'll see your perfect square artboard, 4 inches by 4 inches. If you want to make sure of it, you can turn your ruler on the top and side by pressing Command R. And now you see that there's 4 inches on each side. All right, the tools we're going to be using, to the left you'll see your tools panel, are the selection tool, the rectangle tool. If you hold it down, you'll see other shapes. We have the ellipse tool and the polygon tool, which we'll also be using. We will be using the direct selection tool, which is next to the selection tool here. The selection tool is in black, the direct selection tool is in white, and we're going to be using right down here the shape builder tool. It's kind of cool when you scroll over these, you can see it gives you just a little example of what it does. It looks like this one is making a cloud for the shape builder tool, which is really similar to what we're going to be doing for actually the second exercise for the clown. So first thing we're going to make for the first exercise of this 3 exercise assignment is a snowman. We are going to create 3 circles to create the body of the snowman. If you hold down, again, the rectangle tool and click the ellipse tool, we're going to use 1 big circle, okay? Well, how did I do that? How did I get this perfect circle? Well, I held down Shift, and that is going to create a perfect proportionate circle. If I didn't hold down Shift, I could do ovals wide, ovals long. You'll see the last shape you make will have this bounding box. That means that shape is selected, but I don't want these ovals. So while it is selected, I can just press delete. If I go back up to the selection tool over here, click this one that I don't want, you'll see that box shows up again, and I can just press delete again. All right, so I have the bottom of the snowman. I need a middle, so it's going to be slightly smaller. So let's click that rectangle tool, click ellipse, and another perfect circle, slightly smaller. Hold Shift, and we'll make it like that big, okay? And now I need one even smaller for the snowman's head. So I'm gonna hold down Shift and make even a smaller one. Other objects I need for this snowman is a carrot nose. So let's hold down what is right now selected as the ellipse tool and go to polygon. This can create a shape of any amount of sides that you want. We want a 3-side shape, otherwise known as a triangle. And you'll see that the cross cursor here shows up. If I just click once on the artboard, it's just going to ask me how many sides I want. I want 3. You can press OK, and whoa, give me a big triangle here. So with this triangle selected, make sure the selection tool here is on. I can grab any of these little white boxes on the bounding box, and when I hold Shift and click down on it, I can drag it to make it smaller and move it back onto the artboard with the selection tool. I know I want my carrot nose to have this top point be the bottom point. With it selected, you'll see if I go to one of these corners here, my cursor turns into an arch, which means I can rotate it like this. All right. But I want it facing directly on the bottom. So if I hold down Shift while this arch cursor is up around the bounding box, I can rotate it completely so that 180 so that it's perfectly upside down. I know this is still going to be too big, so I'm going to hold Shift and drag it down even a little further like that. And it doesn't look like a carrot, so without holding Shift, I'm going to grab one of the sides here and just make it more narrow. So that will resize it unproportionately. All right, you can click your artboard to unselect it. Now I'm going to need eyes, charcoal eyes actually. So if I hold down the polygon tool, because that's the last one we used there, and I go to rectangle tool, I'm going to create two perfect squares the same way I created perfect circles, holding down Shift. So there's one, and I want the exact same square size that I just made here. So if I go up to my selection tool and I hover over this square and I press Option, you'll see that the selection tool turns into a black cursor with a little white cursor behind it. That means I'm going to copy this exact shape. So if I just hold down Option, there we go. I just created a second square. That's the exact replica of the first one. All right, so we know that these three circles right now aren't making up the body of our snowman, but I want them to. So with the selection tool, I'm going to move this middle circle overlapping on top of the bigger circle. You see these pink lines here means that it is completely centered with the bottom one. And it's a perfect intersection here. If I click the small circle, I can do the same. You see that vertical pink line means it's directly centered with the shape that it's overlapping. Now, it automatically defaults to selecting the last object that I moved. I want to select all three of these. With the selection tool still selected, you can make a box going over all three of these. And you'll see that now all three of them are selected. In the Tools panel, click the Shape Builder, and we can just, you'll see it like this netting shows up in portions of the three shapes because all three of them are selected. I'm just going to drag it right through all three circles to create that netting, and it automatically gets rid of the intersecting lines and creates one shape, which clearly is our snowman. All right, now I'm going to go back up to the selection tool, and it's going to default selecting the last object we used, which is the snowman's body, and I think I want to add color to this. Over here you have your color panel. If you don't see it, go up to the top and click Window and make sure Color Panel is checked, and it will automatically show up. All right, so with the body selected, you can really pick any color you want. I think I'm going to just do a light blue. I'm going to select the triangle, and because it's a carrot nose, I'm going to make it orange. You see the eyedropper shows up on the CMYK spectrum here. And then I am going to move the carrot nose onto the face. All right, so these are the charcoal eyes. I don't want perfect circles here. I want them to look a little more like coal. With the direct selection tool, which is the white one cursor right next to the selection tool. Click that, and let's drag across both of these squares. You're going to see these little dots show up when you use the direct selection tool. But these squares are a little small and I want to zoom in a little bit. By doing that, you can press Command plus on your computer. And I'm going to drag this little circle, and you can see since both of them are selected, it's going to round the corners here. All right. They did not show up for the bottom corners. So to do that, you can click these little boxes down here and it'll show up. But I want them for all 4 of these corners. So if I press Shift and click another one, Shift, click that one, Shift, click that one, it's going to change all 4 of them at the same time when I drag that little circle that rounds corners. So now we have more of a bit of a coal shape. I'm going to go back to the selection tool, and it's going to default selecting these 2, and I'm going to give it a coal color. So maybe a little gray. There we go. To zoom back out, I'm going to press Command minus. These are still selected, and I want to move them on to the face. They kind of look like sunglasses, so I need to scale them down a little more even with the selection tool still selected. Grab one of those white corners on the bounding box, hold Shift, and make it a little smaller. I'm going to move it right there. Still, I'm going to move the triangle down a little bit too. And there you have a simple snowman. If you want, you can add accessories like a top hat or arms or a scarf or a smile. But it is not required. But if you wanted more practice, please do. If I wanted to make a hat, I would probably go back up to my rectangle tool, make a rectangle. I don't want it to be the same color as the carrot nose, so I'm going to make it, I think, red. There we go. And then, so that will be the brim of his top hat. I'm going to hold down Shift, make a perfect square. I'm overlapping the brim just a little bit. Let's go back and select both. So this is selected. I can either select both by using the selection tool and going like this, or I can select the square and hold down Shift and select the brim, and it'll select both of them. From there, I can move once they're both selected on top, and now he has a very large hat that I can still scale down here by clicking the corner, holding Shift to keep it proportionate. There we go. That's a little better. For our second shape, we're going to do a clown. And I think this clown needs an oval face. So going back up to this rectangle tool, holding it down, I'm going to click ellipse. And I think I'm going to give our clown this shape face. You can do whatever you'd like. I don't want this clown's face to be red. I'm going to change it to this gold, this yellowy orange color. For the hair, we're going to be combining a bunch of little circles. So with the ellipse tool still selected up here, let's just create a bunch of ovals and circles. They can be perfect circles. They can be any shape and size, as long as you're using the ellipse tool here. All right. I'm just overlapping a bunch of these circles and ovals. All right. That'll probably be enough. With the selection tool, I'm going to select all of these circles. I'm going to zoom in again by pressing Command plus. And now I'm going to select the Shape Builder tool, and I'm just going to run through all of these sections. And there we have one side of this clown's hair. I don't want it to be the same color as the clown's skin, so it's not going to be this yellowy orange. I want it to be more clown color, I guess. So with this shape selected, I'm going to do a purple. All right, I'm going to zoom back out by pressing Command minus, and I'm going to move it right about here, and I'm going to make it a little bigger. And you can keep it proportionate by clicking down Shift if you want, or if you want to make it a little different, you don't have to hold down Shift. You can resize it any way you'd like. Now I need the other side of this clown's hair. So with the hair selected and your selection tool still selected, again, I'm going to go over the hair and hold down Option. And I'm going to move a second copy. But that doesn't look quite right. I need to flip this. With this part of the hair selected only, go up to Object at the top, Transform, and Reflect. I guess it automatically defaults to a vertical reflection, but you can see that it just flipped it in the other direction. Go ahead and press OK. Well, there's still something wrong with this. The hair should not be on top of the face. So I want to make sure to put the hair behind the face. And the way I do that is through the Layers panel here. There are other ways to do it, but I'm going to show you how to do it on the Layers panel, because this Layers panel will be one of your best friends whenever you're working with Illustrator. So let's click this drop down arrow, and you can see all of our sub layers under layer 1. We're not creating a bunch of separate layers right now because we'll do practice assignments with that. But right underneath layer 1, you'll see the 2 pieces of hair. When off to the right here, I'm going to click this little empty square. And when I click it, you'll see it automatically selects the piece of hair next to that box. But I won't need to select both of these. So if I go here again and hold down Shift, it's going to select both of them. Now, to drag these layers underneath the face, I also want to Shift and make sure that they're both highlighted gray. Once they're both highlighted gray, you can move them directly underneath the face. All right, that looks a lot better. But this clown needs features on their face. So I'm going to go back up to the ellipse tool here. I'm going to give this clown an oval nose, but I don't want it the same color as the hair. So I'm going to make their nose this like orangish red. And with the selection tool, I'm going to center it in the face here. There we go. Now some eyes, also with the ellipse tool selected. I think I am going to do perfect circles for the eyes, so I'm going to hold down Shift. I am going to change the color to black. You can just click it right here in the colors panel while this eye is selected. And I am going to copy it with the selection tool, hovering over it, holding Option, and I'm just going to make an exact copy when I drag it off. Now I have both eyes, and I'm going to, with the selection tool, just go over both of them. So they're both selected. I can move to the face. If you want, you can add maybe some white pupils here. Option. Zoom in here. Option, drag over, and now you have an exact copy of the first pupil. This clown wants a mouth, I think. Now, I'm going to create 2 ovals for this with the ellipse tool. I'm going to make a wide oval here. I'm going to fill it in black on the colors panel, and I'm going to, with the selection tool, create a copy of it, hold down Option. I'm going to drag it up so that it's just overlapping the other oval. Now with the Shape Builder tool, we are going to deselect and get rid of elements of our object that we want to create, whereas with the Shape Builder tool, so far we've only been combining shapes. So with these 2 selected, I'm going to click the Shape Builder tool. You see that the cursor has a little plus under it. That means we're combining the shapes and adding them together into one. When I hold down Option, that plus turns into a minus, which means we're going to get rid of some shapes. And I'm only going to drag this across the portions I want to get rid of, which are this top part of this oval and where the 2 ovals intersect. So click Option and just drag across those 2. And now we have what's left. So with the selection tool, I can move it right below the nose. And there's our clown. Adorable. For the third exercise, I would like you to create a house. It does not have to be elaborate. It could be as simple or detailed as you want, but I would like you to practice with the shape building tool, with the rectangle tool, the ellipse tool, the polygon tool, and get more familiar with your selection tool, your direct selection tool if you want to round any corners. And anything else I have showed you in this video, please feel free to watch it as many times as you need to. You do not need to save an Illustrator file today. We're not going to go over how to save different types of files quite yet. So for now, I would like you to just take a screenshot of your final images, the snowman, the clown, and the house. On a Mac, you can do that by pressing Shift, Command 4. You'll see these crosshairs pop up, and I can just drag across everything I'd like to screenshot, and it should default save to your desktop. I also included instructions on how to do this on a PC in the assignment details. Please upload this screenshot to the assignments folder for Illustrator Shapes Part 1. Thank you very much.